Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the sports affiliation. We have the Hall of Famer himself, Greg Kellogg. What's going on, Greg?
I am just doing great. I hope you are as well.
And I'm Tip. I'm doing great, guys. You know what? Here at the Sports Affiliation, we want to strive to make sure that we help you with your fantasy football teams, sports questions, anything, any questions you guys have at all. We always have a positive community. We're building a positive community, and we want to continue to be positive within the industry. So we want you guys to come up to us and ask questions. Come up to us in our DMs or our chats. We have a Yahoo email that you can send your questions to as well, and Greg will talk a little bit about that. But we have a mailbag section in our Thursday checkdown, which good. Tune into that because we're going to be doing that at 7 p.m. Eastern. But we have a mailbag question. We can only get up to 5 questions on the mailbag. So Greg and I were like, hey, let's go ahead and ask more people for more questions, and we can answer them in a second show. And that's what Greg and I have decided to do. And that's what
No,
we want
no,
to do for you
no,
guys.
no, no. Let's be honest here. Greg and I didn't do this. This is a Tip major production that Greg has agreed to be on. But this is all Tip. He came up with the idea. He gathers the questions. This is Tip major.
I appreciate it, Greg. But you're such a big role in this whole process. But man, we appreciate it. But I got a question for you, Greg. What did you do these last 2 days? We had no football, no NFL football on. We had some news, but we didn't have any actual football on. So what did you do the last 2 days?
Well, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Plus, I went out and I subscribed to all the new shows. I basically put them in my stuff on Hulu because I have a Hulu account.
Okay.
And so we can go in and we can watch them all. And we can go back. We've been going back and watching some shows from last year that we saw but forgot, and a couple that we missed last year. So Janie and I, that's why when you call, I have 2 minutes to get off the air with you
Look,
because
and
I'm
look,
disturbing Janie's
we
TV
don't
time.
we don't want to mess with Janie's TV time. I
No, we don't.
know.
But you're in good company today because I went out. She did the walk with the ladies today, and she came back and her foot was bothering her. So I went out and got her Indian buffet. She ordered it. I picked it up and paid for it and brought it back to her and hand delivered it. So right now I'm golden, which makes you golden.
All right, man. Yeah, for me, myself, other than spending some time with my girlfriend, which was some really good needed time because I've been going back to work and other than that, man, I was pretty just relaxed, chill, doing some articles. Check out the article that I did with on the sports affiliation as well. Also, just getting prepared for our shows and getting prepared for the Rip and Tip space as well later tonight. But look, we got some questions, Greg, and I got some questions here. I'm going to go to the first question. The first question is from Samit Patel. And, and I got to tell you, man, poor Samit, he's 0-5. So somehow
He's
last week
not the only one, Tip.
oh no, you know what? I am 0-5 in one league. I'm 1-4 in like 2 or 3, but I'm 0-5 in one league. Yep.
I'm 0-5 in my league. And I lost by like 4 points this week. And it was because I read something that said Joe Burrow has trouble with Baltimore and has averaged about 14 points per game. And Sam Darnold has been lighting it up. So I replaced Burrow with Darnold. Burrow goes over to London, and I'm sure it was the jet lag because he was off all night. And so was the other quarterback. The timing that these quarterbacks have at that level, you travel that far, and they travel on Friday. I was amazed by that. If I'm going that far, I'm going to travel on Tuesday or Wednesday at least to give my body a chance to get acclimated to that time zone. And it didn't work because if you look at, I lost 29 points and I lost by 4 in that one decision. So I feel you, Samit. I feel your pain, baby.
All right. So Samit's question is somehow Juju Smith-Schuster goes off and I lose barely. So his running backs are Ford, that's Jerome Ford, and Rashad White. Both guys I was high on it at the beginning of this season who have done nothing. And he said he wants to shake some things up. So he said he was given this trade, Tyreek Hill and Bucky Irving for Marvin Harrison Jr., Najee Harris, and Ty Chandler. Now his wide receivers are Drake London, Michael Pittman, JSN, and Wicks. So if I'm going to be looking at this trade, I don't know why you haven't smashed it yet, because we know that Tua is the reason why Tyreek Hill is not playing right, is not doing well. It's the quarterback play. If Tua was there, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. You play Tyreek Hill. But with Tyreek Hill going through quarterback roulette or carousel, whatever you want to call it, I think in this situation, you have to take this trade with Marvin Harrison Jr., Najee Harris, who hasn't been doing anything really at all. I thought last week was going to be his smash week. Greg, you did too, right? Didn't you think he was going to have a good week last week against the depleted Cowboys?
Who knows? I'd have to go back and look. I'm researching next week. I don't look back, buddy. But I can tell you one thing. The reason I love our coordination together is because often we disagree. And this is going to be one of those cases. But go ahead and finish your comment.
Well, the last thing I was going to say, excuse me, is, let me get some water.
He needs water. Yeah.
It couldn't be a live show without me.
I've got root beer.
You got root beer. All right. So the other reason is Ty Chandler. The Ty Chandler situation. Now we're dealing with Aaron Jones, they're on a bye. So I'm going to talk about that too. But you're dealing with Aaron Jones, who has an injury. And if Ty Chandler somehow finds himself on the field more than because Aaron Jones is out, that could be a situation that I would like as well. But here's the thing, Samit, you are 0-5, dude. Like you've got to win this week. If you don't win this week, it's a dud. So I don't know how fast that trade can go through. I don't know if you can go ahead and do that trade. I would go ahead and do it because it's going to give you the opportunity to win in the long run. But you got to win this week, man. You've got to win. Hit us up and we'll help you out. All right, Greg, tell me why you disagree.
Okay, well, it's pretty simple, actually. You're an idiot. It's that simple. I mean, if you look at it, I looked at the players and what they've done thus far. Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver 27, 61.8 points. Now, I'm using my scoring system, so take that into account. Bucky Irving is running back 35. He's got 47.9 points. MHJ is a wide receiver 18, the best player in this trade to date, okay, with 68.9 points. That's basically 7.1 points more than Tyreek Hill, so it's not a huge difference. Najee, running back 31 with 50.9, so he's basically 3 points more than Bucky, all right? Ty Chandler, running back 61, but he really hasn't got much play, 24.9. I asked him, would you give up Hill for MHJ straight up? I would not. Just would not do it, okay? Hill is not that old. So even in a dynasty, I prefer Hill, proven wide receiver, over MHJ, the generational talent at wide receiver. Basically, Najee's a 10-point per game back. If you look at his breakdowns week to week, he's basically had a low of 8.4 and a high of 13.6, but pretty much 10 points every week is what he's getting. Okay, now that's not even a running back 2 in most teams. It's just not. Okay, so Irving is insurance for Rachaad White, who's his top back right now. So if something happens to White and like he gets replaced by Irving, you've got both of them. So you've still got the starter there. All right. I would not give up that insurance because you're weak as it is. Okay. And Irving is on the rise. He's actually been playing much better with way less touches than Najee. So,
but see, he has.
Now, let me finish. To me, I like Irving better than Najee, both right now and down the road. Okay? And Najee's been getting tons of touches, but he's still only getting 10 points a game. What happens when Jaylen Warren comes back? Ty Chandler, he's a nothing burger. He's done nothing his entire career. If Aaron Jones doesn't come back after the bye, I still don't count on Ty Chandler to do anything. To be perfectly frank, and if you take the 3-for-2 trade, that means you got to cut somebody else. because you got
Well,
to free up the roster spot. And who is worth cutting for Ty Chandler? Nobody.
Dontavian
Nobody.
Wicks at his
Okay?
35% catch rate.
Yeah. So Tua is meeting with the head specialist this week.
Yeah.
And he had no symptoms last week, none at all. We don't know when he's coming back. That's true. That's what complicates it. But even without him, basically Tyreek Hill is MHJ, but more consistent. Not as high, not as low, more consistent. I wouldn't do the trade. I fail to see any advantage for Samit here. I fail to see any advantage for Samit.
Either way, right, is where you're going.
Well, yeah, I'm not doing the trade.
Yeah.
Because if Tua comes back, all of a sudden the best player in this trade is Tyreek Hill. Why do you think the other guy's proposing the trade? He's trying to take advantage of you and get a superstar.
Well, I think the person who gets Marvin Harrison, Najee Harris, which you're right about Najee Harris, he is on the low. He's on the low side of consistency. He's going to get you 10 points. That's what
he's very consistent. He just
but on the low side. That's what. Lowly consistent.
Yeah.
So the thing is with Najee Harris to me is once these months start to get colder, and we've seen this happen with him before. We've seen him win people championships because he starts when those months get colder and the snow starts to get sticking on the ground. Then he starts to come out and starts to do Najee Harris type things. And
he's never had a quarterback like Justin Fields.
He's never had a quarterback like Justin Fields. That's a good point because Justin Fields will take some plays away from him running the ball. But Najee Harris is
going to take some plays away from him when he
gets
back.
healthy. When he gets healthy, if he gets healthy, because it's been a situation he's dealt with since the preseason.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go to number 2, and I'm gonna have you answer this one first. Dalton wants to know. He sends away Jordan Mason plus Michael Pittman, and he's going to get Chris Godwin and Cooper Kupp. He said, we're smashing this one, right? Full point PPR redraft.
Well, we really don't know if or when CMC is going to play this year. Okay. He has no current timetable for a return. All right. Pittman is injured right now. I don't know if you realize that, but he got injured last week. And only worthwhile if Flacco's playing anyway. Now, the question you ask yourself, if you're the coach, you're going to leave Flacco in even when Richardson comes back because he's done a much better job. But can you afford to keep your superstar rookie or second-year quarterback on the bench for what? Is he 40 now? Is he 60? The old guy, the graybeard. Can you really afford to do that? The first time Flacco has a bad game with Anthony Richardson on the bench, the coach gets fired. Yeah. Okay, so they're going to put Richardson back in as soon as he's healthy. All right. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but that's what they're going to do. All right. So with that said, he is expected to miss a couple weeks, and Godwin is tearing it up.
Are you talking about Pittman? Yes.
Pittman is expected to miss a couple weeks, and Godwin is tearing it up right now. He's like the wide receiver 7 or something like that. And Kupp might be back next week. It's not guaranteed. And his coach actually said it's premature to say that he's coming back. He did practice on a limited basis last week. Yeah. Okay. But that doesn't always mean he's ready. All right. Yeah. So this comes down to Dalton's roster. Okay. If he's wide receiver strong, say no, because he doesn't need Godwin. If he's already wide receiver strong and running back weak, he needs Mason as long as Mason's playing, because Mason's a top 10 running back right now. He's getting 100 yards just about every week. He just hasn't been getting in the end zone a lot. But that could change tomorrow, okay? So Mason I got him down as RB6. It's just more valuable than Godwin if you're on a running back weak roster. But if you're running back strong and you've got a lot of running backs and you don't need Mason, then of course you want Godwin over that. So I don't think it's a no-brainer. I don't think it's a definite smash. And I think the potential return of CMC and Cup might edge me to accept that deal. I just don't know when CMC's coming back, or even if he is. So until I know that CMC's back, I'm hanging on to Mason.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because for the simple fact that we don't know what's going to happen with Cooper Kupp, Greg. Like, you're right. They could have Cooper Kupp in there, and then they could say, you know what, we're not winning any games. Our team's just not doing what we need to do to get some wins. And they
don't think they'll package him to get something out of him, do you?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Oh, that would be a terrible move publicity-wise. I mean, that would get a coach fired.
Right. I mean, but I'm just saying it's something that could be in the cards, but then also it could be in the cards that he doesn't play much anymore this season because he just can't get right on the field. And it's an ankle, and he's had ankle injuries before. I do like the Pittman. I understand he's out for a couple of weeks with the back injury. I do understand that. But, man, I just really think that if Joe Flacco – it does depend on his wide receivers, though. If he's wide receiver strong, then you go with the first option, Jordan Mason and Pittman. Because if you're wide receiver strong, you can put Pittman on your IR spot. Hopefully there's an IR spot. Or, put him on the bench. And then go out there and ride with Jordan Mason. Because you're right about the Christian McCaffrey thing. Although I did hear a report that they're going to try to ramp up his practices starting as early as next week. And if he can't go,
but they've got 21 days after that before they have to put him on the active roster.
Right. So you've got at least three more weeks.
Not at least. They could put him. They could start him next week.
Right.
They could bring him off, and if he's in shape, they could start him next week. I don't expect that.
It's all depending on how
you have as much as 3 weeks after they take him off IR. You've got as much as, say, 4 weeks before he's going to be playing. But it could be as little as next week.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
We don't know with the situation with McCaffrey. And I believe even when Christian McCaffrey comes back, Jordan Mason's not going to go anywhere. They're not just going to bring Christian McCaffrey in the middle of the season and say, here you go, Christian McCaffrey, here's 20 touches a game. No, they're probably going to bring him on alone.
Yes, they will.
No, they will not.
Christian McCaffrey, he'll get 12 to 15 carries and 5 to 6 receptions. He will get 20 touches.
Coming back from this?
Oh yeah. This is the best running back in football.
I'm not doubting that. I'm not denying that. But
if he's healthy, he's getting the touches.
If he's on that field and he is their franchise, he is the reason why they will win some games or lose games, then yes, I understand they're going to put him on the field eventually and give him touches, but not right away, Greg. It's going to be a ramp up.
Hey, we got a question in the chat. Did you see that?
No, let me see.
Ryan Santoro wants to know, Dynasty Superflex, 2 quarterbacks, win now roster. That means he's got a good roster. Would you send Jalen Hurts for Jaden Daniels?
Oh.
No. A.J. Brown and Devonta, are practicing. They're supposed to be back this week. I'm not moving Jalen Hurts right now. You've sat with him for 2 weeks where he had nobody to throw to. No, I like the kid, but as the season gets later and the weather turns, he's a rookie. He's going to have ups and downs. Jalen Hurts is going to be much more consistent, and I think he's got the same ceiling because he also can run. And that tush push did not go away. It's still there in their playbook. Do it. You like the kid, don't you?
I like the kid. I do, but he just doesn't have the weapons like Jalen Hurts does. Like, Jalen Hurts is capable of putting up big games when he's on, when he has all of his weapons, and his weapons are back now. And you got Saquon Barkley there. So the rushing, although he's already had a 80-yard rushing week this year, and he's had 2 touchdowns rushing, it's going to come down a little bit. It's just, man, that Jaden Daniels is so fun to watch. But I think I would stick with Jalen.
He's fun to watch, but you want to win now.
You want to win now. Yep, you want to win now.
You got to
stick with Jalen Hurts, man. It's just I think in the long run, it's a 1-for-1, but it is a dynasty super flex. But Jalen Hurts still's got some time left too, so I think it's still Jalen Hurts.
Ryan, thank you for the question. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you, Ryan. All right,
send an email to Tip, or at least a text on Twitter, and get the question earlier. We might do it on Thursday night if it's a good enough question.
Absolutely. All right, so this is going to be the question number 3. And Anthony asks, he has a trade offer. Someone offered him Bucky Irving for J.K. Dobbins. He says, take it. It's a non-dynasty PPR league. I think in this one, yeah, I'm going to go with the Dobbins side, and I understand why you probably want to get rid of Dobbins, but they just came off of a bye week. I think that they're going to continue to run the ball with Dobbins, with Gus Edwards. Dobbins has been the most effective runner on this team. You got to have to kind of stick with it because it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to transpire for him. The Bucky Irving thing, as long as Rachaad White is there, I have limited expectations for him. I know that Bucky Irving's been the more explosive back. I know that Bucky Irving has also been in goal line packages, but he's also fumbled too. And one thing the coaches don't want to do, especially a coach, or don't want your players to do, is turn over the ball. Especially when you're a rookie. They don't want you to lose that confidence. So I think I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins in this one. It's kind of reluctant because of J.K. Dobbins' history. But I will say this, J.K. Dobbins has looked good so far. And I think that this bye week came at a good opportunity, good time for him, maybe a little early, but good time for him. And now he can really do some wonders for your team. But always understand it's going to be managed.
I am a milquetoast fence sitter. On this one, I said it depends. Okay, I am not saying keep Dobbins, and I'm not saying take Bucky. What I did was, the reason I like to get the questions early is because I can dig in and do a little deeper research than just surface research. All right, so Irvin is pushing for more playing time, but he's still a backup. Okay, we both agree with that. Dobbins has averaged 3 games per year over the last 3 years. That's total playing time. 3 games per year over 3 years. He had 8 in 1 year, 1 in 1 year, and 0 in 1 year over the last 3. He's already exceeded that this year. So the question is, will he stay healthy? That's got to be the question on everybody's mind. But I looked a little deeper, okay? If you look at the past 2 weeks, not just the full season, but the past 2 weeks, Dobbins has scored 8.4 and 9.2 points in those 2 games. He has not looked like he did early in the season. Not even close, okay?
Those were against tough defenses, Greg.
They were. Irvin has scored 12.5 and 9.5 as a backup in those same 2 weeks. Irvin has 19 carries and 3 receptions in the last 2 games. Dobbins has 29 carries and 6 receptions and has still performed less than Irvin. So opportunity, which is usually key for me, favors Dobbins. He's getting more opportunities. Efficiency favors Irvin. And to me, I don't trust Dobbins to stay healthy. So I kind of prefer Irvin here. But fair warning, this is a feeling. It's not an analytical decision for me. I also think that the bye week, remember me, I'm the one that said of Kamani Vidal, Blake Corum, and Jalen Wright, that 2 of the 3 would be starting by week 4. Mm-hmm. None of them were. Now, Jalen Wright got 86 yards on 13 carries, and why they didn't keep giving him the ball after that, I don't know, because he had that in the third quarter, and it's like they just quit giving him the ball because they didn't want him to get 100. Because then they'd have to play him, actually. The bye week could favor Kamani Vidal getting more of a role. We just don't know until they come back and play. And Blake Corum, when he's played, has been very efficient and actually done a better job in a yards per carry basis than Kyren Williams. But Kyren Williams is the star they're wedded to. So unless he gets hurt, Corum is just not going to get the opportunities I thought he was. On this one, I think I go with Irvin, but it's non-dynasty. So, the opportunities until he gets hurt, Dobbins is the better play, the smarter play. But do you think he'll get hurt? If you do, you get rid of him before he gets hurt.
I think
So to me, I see Irvin going up and Dobbins going down, and I kind of favor Irvin, but again, it's a gut call. It's not one that I would stake my life on for sure.
Wait, what did you say when you swinging on the fence? What did you say earlier?
Milk toast fence sitter.
Milk toast
means milk toast is bland. Just means bland.
Oh, okay, all right. I like that. Okay,
You've
okay.
never heard that phrase?
One thing I will say about Dobbins, and I like how you snuck in Jalen Wright, who's actually 22% owned in fantasy. I think people need to get him because if they continue to start losing games, and we've already seen Devon Achane get banged up a couple times this year, and Raheem Mostert, look, they might just say, look, let's just ride it out with this young gun and just see what we got with him. So I've seen him. I picked him up in a couple of leagues just because Greg said his name. And I suggest you guys do the same with Jalen Wright because he could be one of those players at the end of the season that's, getting 15, 18 touches. So that's a good call on that one. But one thing I did see about J.K. Dobbins is, his stat percentages have been really nice. They've been upticking it until the bye. So at right before the bye, they got him at 71%. So I think that's probably going to be his ceiling. Like they're going to stop him there at 70%, which I would be shocked if they give him any more than that. But he's just the more elusive back in this offense. He does have a tough matchup coming up against Denver, but after that, he's got a matchup against Arizona. So I think that I am of the ilk that you want to swing for the fences with J.K. Dobbins, and I think J.K. Dobbins stays healthy for a majority of the season. I got this feeling about him. Like you had that feeling, I got this feeling about J.K. Dobbins staying healthy.
He's a Buckeye. He's going to get hurt.
I was looking at that too. I was like, yeah, Greg's going to like this about the Ohio State. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4 is from Matt. Matt asks, Tip, Greg, injuries have been killing me this season. You too, buddy? Like, they've been killing me too. And he said, my guy in the league wants to trade Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jonathan Brooks. Remember, Jonathan Brooks has not played yet this season. For Breece Hall and Keenan Allen. Also, he had another guy come in with Deebo Samuels, Najee Harris for Breece Hall and Keenan Allen. Should he make the move? Full point PPR redraft league. So,
see, now that's the problem with you sending me these questions. What did the question actually say? Breece and Allen.
Not Keenan Allen.
Braylon Allen is also on that team. I assumed it was Braylon Allen.
I reached out to Matt and I said, dude, what Allen is it? And he told me
But
Keenan.
you didn't reach out to me to tell me.
Oh, my bad. I thought it updated it. I thought it updated in the system because it updated for me. Oh, my bad, Greg.
When I printed it, it didn't have it. Which is
my bad.
Before you do it, get both names because it matters. So my answer, I'll give you real quick because I took it as Braylon Allen, which is a totally different thing. All right. I'm with him on the injury front. It's been killing me too. Okay.
Yeah.
Breece and Braylon, you have one starter. Okay. Well, with Breece and Keenan has not really performed up to what everybody thought he would.
Yeah.
Keenan is barely a wide receiver 4 in leagues, and I wouldn't count him on him for that because I think Odunze is going to start getting a little more play. Plus, Caleb Williams will get better as time goes, but he's still a rookie. And he's in Chicago, and they play outside next to what they call, what do they call Chicago? What's its nickname?
The Windy City.
Why is it the Windy City? Do you know that?
Because it's windy as hell. I went there in July.
Why is it windy?
Oh, because it's next to the lake effect.
Lake Michigan. That's right. It's right next to Lake Michigan. If you ever pull up the stadium and you look at it, it's very close to Lake Michigan. And in November, Gordon Lightfoot did a song about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Okay, this is
you song. And these 60s.
Well,
Milk and Toast
might have
was
been the
there.
70s. I don't know. But the wreck of the Edmonds Fitzgerald, what happened was it was a container ship, right?
Okay.
It might have been an oil ship. I don't know. But it was a big ship. It wasn't a little tiny boat. It was a
Okay.
big ship. Lake Michigan got waves so big that the ship got picked up, the front end on the bow or the port on one wave and the other on the other wave, and it broke in the middle and instantly sunk. And Lake Michigan is so cold that when you go down, you don't recover the bodies. Okay,
Oh yeah, I can.
so the point being is they get some big storms on Lake Michigan. I can't imagine an experienced quarterback. Even Jim McMahon, who was a great quarterback, had trouble with the winds in Chicago in November and December. Okay. This kid is from Southern Cal. He is going to have issues in November and December. Trust me on this. So I don't think Allen adds anything to this trade. Um, so the Marvin Brooks, I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but not as much as I like Brees Hall. I think Brees Hall is the top there. I don't touch this trade for Marvin Harrison because Brooks is not going to do anything. Now, if it's a dynasty league, maybe you can get him for the future. But this year, anybody expecting Brooks to have a second half surge is fooling themselves. He had a very late ACL tear. It takes 18 months. It just takes 18 months. And he's got to get confidence back in it, and he's not even practicing really. So until he's activated and gets his 21 days, he's nothing. And Chuba's playing well. Why would they put Brooks in while Chuba's playing well? I wouldn't. Okay, and then there was a second component to this trade, Najee and Debo. I think this is a better trade.
Yes.
But I still think Hall is the best player. We saw that Debo can disappear last week. All right. We know that Najee's disappeared every week this year. Okay. Yeah. When your high is 13 points. Now, Brees Hall has not been playing at the top of his game. Okay. And remember, I thought this was Brees and Braylon, which would have ensured he had the Jets running back either way.
Right.
So I just don't see either of these trades being worth Brees Hall, to be honest.
I totally agree with you, Greg. And the only thing I would add to that is that, Brees Hall has been getting the short end of the stick as far as not being given the ball. Last week, 9 touches. They ran the ball 14 times last week, the whole team. So what happens? You have the situation with Robert Saleh. We're not here to talk about that right now. But we also, yeah. Well, you know what, Greg? Let's talk about that for a second. What were your thoughts on the Robert Saleh? Not only getting fired like that, because I understand you're not going to fire somebody when you guys are traveling overseas. I get that. But the way they fired him and walking him out or escorting him out, look, I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but that was bad.
It was low class. It doesn't look good for the organization. There's rumors that it was because of Aaron Rodgers' unhappiness. I want to know who gets elevated to the head coach. Do they hire a new one? What happens to the offensive coordinator, the line coach? What happens to the other coaches?
Yep.
This team is going to be in disarray. Okay? So when a team is in disarray, what do? If you look at Brees Hall, his first 3 weeks, he was good.
Yeah.
18 to 23, 24 points, 24. Yeah. 18.3 to 24.4 the first 3 weeks.
Right.
Last 2 weeks, he hadn't touched it enough to really do a lot. Now, Braylon Allen looks good. Don't get me wrong. He does. I think they should do a committee. I think Brees Hall should get 15 carries a game and Braylon Allen should get 10. I think that Brees Hall should get 6 targets a game and Braylon Allen should get 4. I think if you do that, you're playing to your strengths on that team. Now, Aaron Rodgers might not be happy because he may want to throw the ball down the field. But let's face it, Garrett Wilson, name another wide receiver on the Jets. I know Williams. One. Well, I was thinking,
but yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Lazard actually looks pretty good because he knows Aaron Rodgers. But
Mhm.
basically, they're not guys that are scaring defenses. Okay. And I do have Alan Lazard on a roster, and I have played
You
him
do?
because, well, I expect him to get flex or
Those
wide
injuries are
receiver.
killing you. You said that. Yeah.
What's that?
You did say the injuries are killing you.
Oh, they are. But he's outperformed a lot of the more talented wide receivers
Yeah.
simply because he's got a comfort with his quarterback and his quarterback is comfortable with him. And so they look for each other. Now, last week, I saw Lazard drop 3 passes. He would have had a great week if he'd have made those 3 catches.
Yeah.
And they were contested, don't get me wrong, but they all hit his hands. And I was always told if the ball hits your hands, you should catch it.
Weren't you a receiver in
I
high
was
school?
I was a tight end, split end in
Yeah.
high school, and on defense, I was a linebacker.
See, I played a
And
little
once in
running
a
back,
while,
and
they
the
put
coach
me in the
always,
defense.
yeah, and I played a little running back, and the coach would always tell us, man, if you don't catch that ball, if that ball hits your hands or hits your chest, like, come on, you got to catch it.
It should never hit your chest. The ball, you should never catch a ball. You should always catch it with your hands because it bounces. If it hits you, you got a plate that comes down from the shoulder pads. If the way they throw that ball with the velocity, if it hits that plate, it's bouncing. You're not catching.
No, Greg, I'm talking about when I would get the handoff. He says when that ball hits your hands or your chest, you got to hold on to that ball. Don't let it go.
Well,
But
but
yeah,
you're supposed to have your hands below the chest plate.
shoulder
Okay,
chest
I
plate,
thought you were
no?
talking about receiving the ball.
No. I
Because
was
a
talking
lot of
receiving with
people,
the hands, but with the chest, making sure that you get underneath the chest plate where the ball is secured.
right, so
And
it's
then
not
you
going to
run.
bounce off.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but my point being is until we see what's going to shake out with the new coaching staff, is the offensive coordinator going to get promoted? Defensive coordinator, is there
Well,
somebody else that's going to get promoted? I don't
yeah.
know. I haven't
Yeah,
heard anything.
I can tell you real quick. So Ulrich, who was the defensive coordinator, was elevated to become the interim head coach. So he is right now. And then they made
So
a
you've
change.
got a defensive coach now in charge of the offense.
Well, you know what
Ultimately,
else?
he's in charge of everything. So yes, in charge
Yeah.
of the offense.
You know what else? You know what else too? Nathaniel Hackett is no longer the play caller. He's still the OC, but he's no longer the play caller. They gave that to Downing. So Tom Downing is now the new offensive play caller for
We'll
the
see
Jets.
if it makes any difference at all.
Yeah, this is gonna be intriguing. But I do agree, Brees Hall is the most, is the most popular
He's going
player
to get the ball
person that
a
you
lot
would want
more
them
consistently.
more. Right.
And I think
Definitely.
Braylon Allen's going to get it more too, and I think that's good.
I hope that they run the ball. That's going to be more advantageous for that offense because we know that Aaron Rodgers wants to throw the ball. We get it. But the thing is, he's not the same Aaron Rodgers. They've got to run the ball. They've got to have.
He's not getting the time. I think he's still got a good enough arm that if his offensive line was giving him time, he could take some deep shots, which is why if they run the ball more, play action becomes more effective. Play action allows you to throw deep.
100% agree. All right, this is the last one. And this one, I picked it because it's not necessarily the best question, but I'm really into mobster movies and mobster shows. Greg, do you like mobster shows or movies or anything like that?
I like comedic mobster shows.
Oh, have you seen Mafia?
Did you say monster or mobster?
Mobster, mafia, like mafia, like gangster movies.
Godfather did nothing for me.
Oh,
okay,
see, Greg. Oh,
but there are some comedic mobster movies that are funny as hell.
There's one called Mafia. Have you seen that one? It's pretty funny.
No,
it's pretty funny, but it's like a spoof, like the Naked Guns. They all kind of like do like spoof shows and stuff. But anyway, so this came from Lucky Luciano. So
I don't think I've seen this one. I don't think I've seen the question. You're springing it on me.
Oh man. Okay. So all right. Look, I will promise to have that cleaned up next time. I thought that if I put it in the Google Documents, it automatically updates for you.
It may be, but I didn't go back to the Google Documents because I was waiting for you to mail it to me.
All right.
Once I've already copied it from the Google document to bring to my desktop to do the research, you got it.
We'll clean that up. That's my fault. That's on me. We'll clean that up. All right. So Lucky Luciano wants to know, he was offered Scary Terry, so Terry McLaurin, and Chase Brown for his DK Metcalf. So he would be giving up DK Metcalf, who's playing tonight, and he would be receiving Scary Terry and Chase Brown. And since you didn't have time to prepare for it, and that's
no, I want to answer this. I do want to answer.
All right, go ahead.
You go first.
I love DK Metcalf. I do. I think that DK Metcalf can be a solid wide receiver 1 this season. I think that he will finish as a wide receiver 1, not the wide receiver 1, as a wide receiver 1. That means top 12. So I feel like that could be DK Metcalf. However, and I just got into my Stephen A. Smith. However, Scary Terry and Chase Brown, who I think Chase Brown, look at his last 2 weeks, 30 points in week 4 and 19 in week 5. He's being utilized in the red zone. He's not a red zone back, but he's such a speedy guy. He's so elusive that they're giving him the ball in the red zone area now. He got a touchdown last week in the red zone. And in week 4, he got a touchdown in the red zone. So they're utilizing him. And the Bengals are going to be in a lot of games where they're going to need to be playing from behind, playing catch up in shootouts, where they're going to be utilizing Chase Brown. So I like Chase Brown in this one, and I like Scary Terry because I like that kid in DC. I think that the Commanders found one, and I like both of those players. I would be willing to give up. It depends again on his roster, which he did not give us. He just said DK Metcalf. I think that those two players can easily finish in the top 25 in leagues.
Top 12.
I know. With 10, 15, 20. No, but I had 25 in my head. Top 25. I think those two players can finish in the top 25.
All right. So the reason that Chase Brown is looking good right now is Zach Moss is injured.
He's hurt.
So Chase Brown is getting opportunity. You said something about he's not usually a goal line back. All right. 5'9", 203, 99 touchdowns. Barry Sanders strike you as a goal line back?
Hey, Greg.
Okay, well, wait a minute. My point being, what is a goal line back? To me, a lot of people think a goal line back is a 6'2", 230-pound guy.
Derrick Henry. Yeah.
I think it's a guy that can get the ball in the end zone. I don't give a crap how big or little he is. If he can get the ball in the end zone, he's a goal line back. Yeah. All right? I like Chase Brown because of his potential for a breakout run. The dude has speed, and he can turn a 0-yard pass into an 80-yard screen touchdown. Zach Moss cannot do that. Zach Moss cannot do that. So I like Chase Brown here. DK Metcalf, I kind of knew about him, but I saw him on TV last week. This guy, he's CeeDee Lamb. He's a monster. He's huge. This guy is a linebacker in a wide receiver body. He's actually a linebacker body playing wide receiver. He's got huge guns. He's got a big chest. I mean, DK Metcalf really surprised me with his size. Now,
he's huge.
He's also very fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it would be hard for me to give up DK Metcalf, but I like McLaurin in a PPR league.
Yeah.
So if it's a PPR league, I think McLaurin has almost as much potential for scoring as Metcalf does. I think Metcalf has the ability to get more touchdowns just because of his body size.
Yeah.
You know, you get in that red zone, he can outfight people for the ball, and Terry doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Terry's got to get open. Terry's like Amon-Ra. He's got to get open because he's not big enough to really wrestle the ball away from DBs.
I think Amon-Ra is a lot tougher than we think.
He's tough.
I like it. Maybe not Hines Ward, but that's the closest thing I think of right now is Amon-Ra St. Brown to Hines Ward. Him and Jamar Chase, because
if he blocks anywhere close to Hines Ward.
No, I'm not talking about blocking.
What I'm saying is that's part. Amon-Ra does block. Yeah. Jameson Williams does block. Right. If they ever get the reputation of blocking like Hines Ward did,
no.
Trust me, Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
First ballot Hall of Fame.
So why is Hines Ward not in the Hall of Fame? Like,
I would do that. I would do that trade, but I would hate giving up DK.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I would hate it too. But it also depends on his wide receivers. Hell, he could have a really nice stable of wide receivers. But all right, before we leave, we got to get a prediction for tonight's game. This is something else I wanted to start too. We never really predict the Thursday night games. Yes, there's a game tonight.
Who's playing?
You got the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers in Seattle.
Wait a minute. I thought you said there was a game. Is San Francisco still playing football?
No, dude, Greg, what is wrong with them?
They look like shit. Pardon the language, but they do. You know, like my wife calls it toro pupu.
Toro pupu.
Toro
pupu.
Pupu. And that's how they look. I got Brock Purdy as my stud tonight to sit. Okay. I just don't know what's going on with that team. It's not like they're not getting a running threat from Mason. He's been outstanding.
He's been great.
Top 10 running back.
Yeah.
Okay. He's been consistently near, 3 figures in yardage, especially combined yardage. I think he may have missed one game where he didn't get 100 yards, but the kid is balling out. He really is.
Yeah.
But one day Brandon Ayuk does nothing. The next day it's Deebo Samuel. Okay.
Well, that's a good problem to have, not for fantasy, but that's a good problem to have for that team.
If they ever get it together, yes.
If they ever get it together.
If they ever get it together. And I got to be honest, Seattle, I just don't know what to think about that team. I expected really explosive offense this year.
Well,
I love Kenny Walker. I love Zach Charbonnet. I think Walker is still the better back and deserves the bulwark of the carries.
Right.
But, 1 week, Tyler Lockett's a superstar, and the next week, he's nowhere to be found. JSN has been a total disappointment the entire year. He's done nothing for what's expected, although I think I put JSN on our AI question this week.
Oh, I saw that.
And the way I do that is I go out and I take a guy that I think might be a good flex play, one guy, and I look at his total points for the year, and I find 2 other players that are within 2 or 3 points of that total. Okay, so for the year, these 3 guys all have basically within 2.5 points of each other.
Right.
So how do you determine who's going to be injuries around them, injuries that they may be suffering from, but won't keep them out, because if they're kept out, we don't worry about it. But if you're a wide receiver and your quarterback got injured, that's going to impact you, right? Yeah. If you're a running back and the center got injured, that's going to impact you. It's going to impact the passing game, everything else.
Right.
The defenses they're playing, the defensive matchups, who's giving up fantasy points to their position. All these things should be considered. Now, right now, I don't believe the AI is considering defensive matchups. I think it's based primarily on rankings that it gets from a variety of sources. So I'm going to talk to the owner about that, because I think they can improve the tool. But we're going to see what the AI said tonight. And then I also took it to the people. I put out a poll, and I think you agreed with what the poll said. So the 3 players, the 3 players are J.K. Dobbins, Deontay Johnson, and JSN. And
we got to be careful with Deontay Johnson too. He's banged up as well.
But they're all within 2 points of each other.
Right.
For the year, all 3 of them are within 2 points of each other, and it was pretty clear that the crowd likes J.K. Dobbins.
All right, everybody.
I like Deontay Johnson. You like J.K.
I like. All right, everybody. So Greg is talking about the Thursday checkdown. Be sure to tune into that again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Greg, you did not answer the question though. Who are you picking for tonight's game?
Well, it's a home game for Seattle, and they say that's worth 4 points, so I'm going with Seattle. Obviously, San Francisco should win. They're the better team, top to bottom. But they're just not playing like it right now.
I think a lot of things for San Francisco. It's the age is coming up to them. I was listening to a radio show this afternoon, and they were talking about the San Francisco 49ers and how they've been in the playoffs for the last 4, 5, 6 years. And that takes a toll on you when you play that many games. Look at what we haven't seen Christian McCaffrey at all
Yeah,
this season.
I think that San Francisco and Seattle both have two of the youngest teams rosters in the league.
They have a young.
I saw that.
I don't. I know they have some young players on San Francisco, but I don't know if they have the youngest roster. But some of their nucleus.
I could be wrong.
Their nucleus players like Deebo Samuel, like George Kittle, like Trent Williams. Those guys are all older, and those are players that they rely upon heavily in this offense. And I feel like
they didn't rely on Deebo last week. I got 2 points from the dude.
So the thing is this, I think that the 49ers are in trouble. I think that Brock Purdy has not been playing that great. He's been playing. He had a couple of games where he has done a little bit
more. He had one good game.
But I will say this, he's still running the ball. I think I saw over-under of him at 11.5 yards. I'm taking that all. I was like, oh, that's easy money. He's ran. And look at what Daniel Jones just did to Seattle last week. But I'm still taking Seattle in this one. It's at home. I think that Seattle really tries to beat up on the 49ers a little bit more. It's going to be a close game. I think 24-20, but Seattle wins.
What's the point spread?
I think it was at 4, like you said, or 4.5.
Okay.
I got to look at it. I didn't look at it before the show.
Is Seattle favored?
Seattle. Let's see. Seattle.
So if it's a 4-point spread and Seattle's favored, and you're saying 24-20, you're calling for a tie.
Yeah. Let's see here. Seattle schedule.
Get off the fence, you milquetoast fence sitter.
That is not me. That's you. You're the milquetoast fence sitter. That's something I've never heard in my life. That is crazy.
You need to watch Tim.
Oh, you know what? You know what? Who?
Tim Poy's a political commentator. He wears a beanie all the time. It drives my wife nuts. I watch him. I watch him just because you get some unfiltered news. It's filtered through him. But, I just find it funny.
That's funny. All right. Well, I'll get the over-unders and everything for the show. We'll talk really quickly about that. But I think it is at 4.5 the last time I checked. And I think it was in favor of.
So you're calling for Seattle to lose by half a point.
Let's see. Over, under.
Because you said 24-20. And if LA gets 4.5, San Fran gets 4.5, then that's 24.5-24. And it's
Seahawks underdogs 3.5.
Oh, Seahawks are underdogs at home?
Yeah, 3.5.
Oh, so you're saying they're going to blow them out.
So I'm thinking 24-20 Seahawks win.
Okay.
So
Good for you.
I think they win. And you know what? Sleazeball, who comes on our show, he is a 49ers fan. So if we have time, guys, let's try to talk about that too. That would be something.
Your predecessor was a 49ers fan.
But I appreciate you guys coming in, talking to Greg and myself. We're going to do this every week. We have fun doing it. We want to help you with your teams, help you with your rosters. We got questions from people that are 0-5, questions from people that need a win this week. So come in, ask your questions to Greg and myself. Greg, before we leave, give everyone the email address that they can also send the questions to.
TC for Thursday Checkdown. TC _booking, BOOKING @yahoo.com. And I got to be honest, I didn't check the email to see if there were any questions in it this week. Did you?
Well, I got most of them from the DMs and from Twitter this time, so I did not check it. But you know what? I'm going to still stress people to do that, so that way we can all get the same questions and ask the same questions if the players'
and
names.
If somebody sent us a question and I didn't get to it, I will go in and look at it as soon as I get off this, and I'll get you an answer before tomorrow.
All right.
But probably not before tonight's game. No.
Again, guys, check in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Thursday check down. All right, Greg, I'm going to roll us out, man. Peace. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Cool.
We're still live.